the first time we meet each other face to face, or more or less online. Turbine Kreuzberg is following kind of the same mission you do, to empower women in tech and also to attract more women in tech. I'm Sophie, I'm people and culture expert here at Turbine.
Yeah, so my name is Liliana. I am the co-founder of the Portuguese Women in Tech community. I do a bunch of other things in parallel. I have my own PR agency. I have an animal shelter, so I have different other things in my hands. But one of the main things is Portuguese Women in Tech community projects, and it's one of the things that I'm passionate about. So I'm super happy to be here and to have the opportunity to talk a little bit about it.
For everyone who haven't heard before about Portuguese Women in Tech, Liliana, maybe you can tell us something about your main purpose and how the organization came to life.
In the year that the Web Summit was confirmed in Portugal, I was working in an incubator. So even though I'm from communication and the events industry, I was pretty inside the tech ecosystem. And basically we started discussing, okay, the Web Summit is coming to Portugal. This is great. This is really, really good news for the tech ecosystem. But the reality is that even though we have some well-known women in technology in Portugal, they don't have the brand awareness, the visibility that we believe they should have. So we started brainstorming and thinking, okay, there are a bunch of tech communities, but there are no tech communities focused on bringing visibility to women. So that was basically the kickstart of everything. Our work since the beginning was to give visibility, to bring awareness to the women in technology. But as we launched the community, as we launched the project, and our focus was on the visibility part, we understood this is just the tip of the iceberg. So there's a lot of things that need to be done. There's the need to create a structure, a support structure. And when we say that, it's not, oh, poor women, they need help. But together we are stronger. And if we were all working towards the same goal, it would be easier to have more women in tech and more visibility. So that was the beginning of everything. And now, 7 years later, we've been doing a lot of different initiatives. So what we do is we understand what the community needs. If it's mentorship, is support to create new ideas, to create new projects. If it's the brand awareness, the visibility. So what we do is we create initiatives that support women across all of these things.
Have you ever encountered any resistance or pushbacks while implementing initiatives?
I don't think we felt pushbacks. Actually, I think we felt support from the community, from tech companies that wanted to be a part of it. Of course, there will always have someone or be someone somewhere having a different opinion. And we do a lot of that in media coverage. So we have a lot of press coverage for our initiatives. And then if you start going to the comment section of the news pieces, you will see things that don't make any sense. So I believe that is actually, at the end of the day, the only part that is not aligned with what we are doing. But looking at the ecosystem, looking at the companies that are working with us and all around us, I think that all of us are pretty much in the same headspace. So our goal is to make everything equal for everyone, and I think that we've been having a lot of great partners helping us with that.
Maybe you can also tell me about your biggest achievement so far with Portuguese Women in Tech.
The biggest achievement of all, and I would say that everybody's going to answer the same, is of course the amount of women, so the actual community that we have. This translates in a lot of different stuff. This translates, of course, in the number of women that we have that are active members. So we have hundreds of women that are active members in our initiatives at the same time. They get together, they go to events together, they plan things together, even though it's separate from our official activities. So this is a great part and a great result of our work and of the motivation that these women have to be a part of something bigger and work together for something bigger. And then on the other hand, I think that the amount of companies, the amount of entities that come to us and say, okay, you are doing a great job and we want to be a part of it, not only because we want to support, but we actually want to be a part of the difference. I think that is really great, and at the end of the day, that is really a driver for us, because if we were just working alone, that would be one thing. But when we have dozens of companies, dozens of other people saying, okay, let's do something together, and not only looking at what we are doing, but also thinking with us, this is the way to go. These are some ideas for you to improve. This is also super interesting. So at the end of the day, I really feel that this is an actual community work, a community effort, not only with the women that are enjoying it and being a part of it, but also with the partners and supporters that we have working with us. So I would say that these are the main highlights.
Imagine you have a magic wand that could instantly solve one gender diversity challenge in tech world. What challenge would it be and why?
There's a lot of things that we could do, but I would say that gender bias can be the most important one because gender bias impacts everything. Gender bias is present almost in everything. It starts when you are born and goes, of course, with you along the way and enters the job market with you and is a part of your life. Gender bias, I think it impacts a lot the women in the recruitment process, in situations like unequal pay, like underrepresentation of women in leadership roles. So all of that is a build-up that then leads us to have less opportunities to have an economic impact in our life, in our daily life. So I would say that gender bias is the main thing that if we could eliminate, it would solve 99% of the problems.
You think that the current perception of a developer is that this developer is male, is wearing jeans and hoodie, is drinking energy drinks the whole time? Why do you think the current perception is like this? And how do you want to change this bias?
That's the current perception, most of all because of media representation, I would say. When you think about someone creating a nice platform, app, whatever, you will always think about the person being a man because it's what movies show you, it's what TV shows show you, it's what everything shows you. And then it's the cultural stereotype. So when you think about being out of your home at night, you think for women is not safe. So the cultural stereotype is that working long hours, being in a heavy environment is always for men, and men are more used to it and available for it, and women need to be protected. So I think that's mostly the idea. So this is, in my opinion, the perception that exists, and that's why we also want to change it. And that's why we have initiatives like the Future Portuguese Women in Tech. The idea is for us to go to little girls and say it's possible for you to do whatever you want. So that's mainly the idea that we want to pass. And at the same time, we want to talk to little boys and say it's okay for a girl to want to be a mechanic, to want to drive a car. It's okay. It's okay.
Can you imagine in the future that there will be equality, so a balance between women and men in tech?
It's not easy for me to answer that. I hope so, but looking at the past, women were actually the first ones to be a part of technology. So during the Second World War, when men were in the war, women were the ones being the tech people. So they were the ones breaking code, they were the ones more close to math, so to mathematics, to all those problems. And I highly recommend for you or everybody that watches this to see the Hidden Figures movie. It's a great movie about NASA in this case, not about the World War, but it really shows how women were important and women were the first ones to work with a computer. And specifically with the World War, what happened was when the war was over, a man came home. There are pictures of women of 20 years old doing their parties of going home. So basically what happened was, okay, there's not enough space for both of us, for men and women doing this job. Men are back, women need to go home. So when I look at this and I think we were so close to be the ones to do this, and now we are back home, it makes me feel sad and it makes me worried about what's the future. Of course, in my heart, I really hope that we find a way to balance everything. And that's the work that we are doing. So there's not enough time in my life to make sure that this happens for me and my direct family. But I really hope that the work that we are doing will impact in the coming years, will impact everybody that is a part of it. So going back to equality and your question, I hope we get there. I think there's a long way to go. I think that if everybody works together, we will. But it's also important for men to understand that they need to be a part of the discussion. This is not a fight for women. This is a fight for men and women to work together and be together. And even though more and more men understand that and do their parts, everybody needs to do his part. So I think probably it's not like a very motivating answer on my end, but it's the reality that we are living right now. And I think that we and other entities across the world are working to try to do something better and something different. So we are trying to improve that and to make it happen.
Can you share your perspective on the current representation of women in tech, the industry, and the challenges they have to encounter their career or to start a career in a tech position?
It's interesting to see that in Portugal we have a pipeline issue. So there are not enough women in the market to balance the reality of the ecosystem. So there are more men working in tech, so there will be more men inside the companies, and there are not enough women. So there's a pipeline issue that equals underrepresentation, of course. So right now in Portugal, we see a lot of women, more than ever, going to STEM. So when they choose the degrees that they are going in university, they are going to STEM, but they are going for science and they are going for topics around that and not for engineering. So what we feel is that they don't feel, because of gender bias and because of everything that we discuss and that we know that is happening in the reality of the ecosystem. I think that because of that, they don't feel comfortable in choosing that path, and of course then underrepresentation happens. These challenges, starting with the gender bias, then equals lack of opportunities, pay inequality. It's also something that naturally we know it happens. On top of everything else, the imposter syndrome. So what we know is that a lot of women have imposter syndrome. They don't feel comfortable. They think that they are not adequate to the role. And I think that comes from years and years of someone saying you are not enough. You are not the best one to do that. And that's why we believe that projects like the mentorship programs, for instance, and role models presentations are really important. A man can go to a job interview and say, I can do everything you want. I can do everything you need. And then he will figure out how to do it. And I think, and from the discussion that we have and the information that we gather, women do it differently. Women are only going to say, yes, I can do that, if they are 101% confident that they can do that. And that's okay, but then that will impact comfort that they feel when going to an interview, when applying. And then there are lots of other things related to the interview process, but I think that more than anything else, the imposter syndrome is really impacting also the availability and the comfort that women feel in jumping to those opportunities.
Because I also read your playbook about diversity, inclusion, and belonging. You have published on your website, where you also underline that men are hired for potential and women are hired for experience.
Yeah.
And as you said, I also want to repeat the number that men apply for a new job when they just met 40% of the requirements, and women do it when they meet 80%.
Yeah.
So the double percentage they
It's
need
huge.
to decide, okay, yeah, it's such a huge difference.
Yeah.
Can you provide some ideas, examples, strategies, how to create a more equal, a more balanced hiring process in a company?
In our playbook, we have some ideas. We have a checklist for companies that want to prepare themselves in the best way they can. So I think there are different things, but first of all, it's important to say that different companies need to implement different ways to do it, because of course they present themselves differently in the market. They have different products. Some of them might already be more interesting for women than others. We see more and more women being interested in impacts, being interested in sustainability and all of that. So those companies probably are going to be having more women applying. So that, of course, will impact the results of the interviews process and everything. But if we assume that a company that is placing themselves in the market and is not well known and they want to do something from the beginning, my recommendation would be for them to have structured interviews that are objective and to the point, because sometimes we see interviews process that have questions that don't make any sense. Questions that are personal, questions that are clearly to try to understand if you as a woman are prepared or not to do something different or to do the extra mile. They are not doing the same questions to men, so they will they will assume that they are, of course, available and prepared. And as we know that women in this percentage, 40 to 80% comfortable about the application, if you think or if you understand that the woman already applied and already got to the interview process, you need to assume that they have the capability to do it, or else they were not going to be in the interview. They would be discarded in the beginning. So I think that the interviews process needs to be aligned with what is actually important for you as a company to have in that professional. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. It doesn't matter if they have kids at home or not. If you have something for them to do, just test them and see if they are able to do it or not. So that leads me to the second part, that is dedicated tech exercises. If you are hiring someone for their capability, test their capability. That's the most important thing. I would say that that's the most important thing, because it doesn't matter the gender, it doesn't matter if they have kids, if they are married, if they are planning on having a baby, that doesn't matter. Are they willing to do the job? Are they capable to do it? So that's the thing that you need to understand. And then if we take all of those points from the table, I think that, and I'm curious to see more and more situations like this taking place and see the result, blind evaluations of CVs. So I think that more and more the picture is no need. You don't need to have the picture, you don't need to have the details, you need to see the profile. And I think that most people were going to be really surprised when at the end of the profile evaluation, without a name and without the picture, they would see that most CVs that they would like, or they would feel comfortable about going to the second stage, were going to be from women. And I'm not saying that men are not competent. I'm saying that women are also competent, but they are not having the opportunity to show it. So yeah, I think that more and more taking the gender part of the equation is crucial, and testing their tech skills, because at the end of the day, it's what they need to be able to do, and not present themselves in a different way or whatever.
Do you have an important personal learning or a great recommendation for women who likes to start a career in tech?
We have the mentorship program focused on women that want to start a career in tech. So, of course, I'm going to talk about it because I think it's super impactful and an essential tool for everybody. So, yeah, I would say that mentorship is critical, because mentorship will allow you to feel more comfortable, to clarify questions that you have. And that goes not only for the tech part, but then the way you present yourself in the job market, the way you apply for an interview, the way you go to and prepare to the interview. So I think that's the best recommendation that I can give to someone that wants to be a part of the tech ecosystem. And I was thinking about young girls entering the market, but that can also be for someone that wants to change careers, is find a mentor and don't feel shy about asking the questions. A mentor, I think, is the best thing that I can recommend everybody to have.
Yeah, definitely. And Liliana, do you already see an increasing number in women who want to change their career?
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of that happening in Portugal. There are a lot of entities doing dedicated programs for people that want to learn the technology 101, so development 101, and then enter the market. And on the other way, we also see a lot of companies doing that, so supporting those initiatives, those programs, in order to get to a different pipeline of professionals coming to the market. I think that even though it's older people entering the market, they bring a thing that is really important, that is the experience in other things in their life. They feel more confident, they feel more secure of what they are doing. I see a lot of people doing it, men and women doing it right now. I think that the market is also rearranging itself to be able to use these people in the right way. I think it's happening. I think it should happen, because I think everybody should use and enjoy the wave that the tech ecosystem and the tech industry has right now, because it will directly impact their life financially, remote working and all of that. The tech ecosystem right now is the one giving you more opportunities. So yeah.
How do you find them all, and what is a great female mentor for you?
That's a tricky question. A great mentor is someone who wants to be a mentor, because they will adapt themselves to what the mentee needs. And we see that happening a lot of times in the program. Sometimes we have people coming, mentors coming and saying, okay, I have a structure and I want to talk to them every week, but then I want to text them every day. And it's really quick for us to understand together that that's not the right way to go, because that will be pressuring the mentee that is a young professional entering the market. Going back, I think a good mentor is someone that is eager to support the person that they are going to be mentoring. A good mentor is someone that is motivated to be a mentor. More than anything else, it's really available to listen, because I think most times the mentees need to talk and talk and talk and talk, and sometimes they are not going to share direct questions, but with the things that they share, the mentor will understand where the questions are. So it's important for them to be really good listeners, to be available to show their experience and their reality. So I think it's important for people to understand that it's not easy for anyone. And if people try to make it beautier than it was, it's going to change the perspective. That's the reality. And most of times that's not the reality. So I think that we need to be real about the challenges that we have, about the processes that we had to go through to get to the point that we are. And I think that this is what basically a good mentor is. Someone that is motivated, willing to listen, and willing to share the reality of their experience, so the mentee on the other way, or on the other side, understands the reality of what that person went through to get to where they are.
And why do you think is this area so male dominated? And on the other side, what could be some effective ways to encourage more women to be in a leadership position or to found their own company?
If there are more men in the job market, they will be in the leadership roles. If you say a lot to a young girl in the beginning, you need to be something specific, and you cut their wings and you don't allow them to think outside the box, they will not have an entrepreneurial perspective of way of placing themselves in the market. So I think that there are different things that need to be tackled before we start looking at this part. And again, making some advertising of the work that we do at the Women in Tech. If we start doing to young girls in an early age, you can do whatever you want. It's easier for them to see themselves as the next Mark Zuckerberg or Sheryl Sandberg in a couple of years. So I think that this is important. The role models, I think they are critical. Allow you as a young girl or as a young woman starting to work. I think this is crucial for you to understand that you can actually do something different, or you can do your own thing. In our work, we decided to create the Future Female Founders and the hackathons, because we feel that these are some motivational initiatives that give women the perspective of, okay, if I want to do it now, how can I do it? And I'm talking, of course, in the entrepreneurial aspect. So how can I create my own thing? How can I be a founder? Okay, I'll try this during this hackathon, and at the end of the day, I will evaluate, do I think that this makes sense, and do I want to push it forward or not? But they have the opportunity and the specific schedule to understand, what can I do with this? So I think that these are important things. Role models that show them that they can do it, and then on the other hand, initiatives that allow them to try it out and understand if they are the ones or not that makes sense for that. Regarding leadership positions, as we have less women working in the industry, it's harder to have them in leadership positions. But again, this is something that needs to be worked in partnership with men, because how many times do we have companies that are managed by men, that have a board of men, even though they have women working in the company? So this goes back to working together with men for them to understand how important it is to have a different perspective in the structure. And then at the same time, how important it is for women to understand that they can do it if they are invited to, or they can work the path that they need to get to that place. So I'm not going to say that the problem is only the men that are limiting us. Most times we are limiting ourselves because we don't believe or we don't think that we can do it. So this is also something that needs to change. How can we change that? By giving support, by giving structure, by creating opportunities for women to understand that they can do it. So, and of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We can be here all day talking about different ways to do that and to create and build that path. But I think that like these are the basics that allows us to understand, okay, if this is a problem, what can we do around it? So yeah, we could discuss this for more time, but I think that these are, at least in my opinion right now, my main ideas about that question, about that topic.
Wow, sounds pretty good. I mean, yeah, maybe I don't know if you agree, but most likely women needs a little bit more support than men do. But this is not a shame. I mean, it's great that the journey and the change has already started, and we need more organizations like you do with Portuguese Women in Tech. I can just say something in the name of Turbine Kreuzberg. We are really happy to support you, to be also a sponsor this year for the award. I'm really looking forward to meet you in person in November, and of course to follow your development with the organization.
Great, thank you so much, Sophie. Of course, I need to say thank you to you and the company for the support, and it would be lovely to have you in Porto in the final event of the awards. So that would be great. I really hope it's possible. So I'm counting on you here.
I think so. I see it
Great.
really hopefully.
Nice, perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sophie. It was great. Thank you.